Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to my channel, News Jester. My name is Junior. Today, we are going to try to unbox and review this object over here in front of me. I've been preparing for this. I've been waiting for this since January when it was shipped from China. This is the Lewin Resources Metroplex 4-foot tall $1,000 toy. It's a transformer. It does transform into base mode, to robot mode, and into vehicle mode. Um, but before we go ahead and do a really quick unboxing and all that stuff, I want to talk about Lewin Resources. That's the company that produced this, and you probably haven't heard of Lewin Resources in the Transformer world. That's because they've actually only produced two items. This is the first one that they produced. I bought this, I don't remember, maybe about 3-4 years ago when they first announced it. I thought, honestly, because I've never heard of that company, I thought it was a scam. Because who would have thought that they would do something like this? This is, I think, a 24-inch or 28-inch blown up copy of the MP10 Optimus Prime. Yes, it's an exact copy of MP10, so it does transform, and it transforms very, very well. This also it's very, very heavy. It's got a lot of die cast features and everything and all that stuff. I've never had any problems with it at all. So when this was announced maybe about a year and a half ago, being that it was Lewin Resources, a lot of people were hesitating on purchasing it, knowing it was going to be expensive. I think originally the cost on this one in China or in the area it was produced was around $550 or so. But because of the shipping and everything, I mean, it's understandably shipping for something like this. This thing is heavy. I believe the whole unit is about 78 to 80 pounds. So these are large shipping boxes, as you can see. There's one, two, and there's a third one, which contains the head. Shipping on this one, I would assume would be around 200, 250, which is what I'm kind of used to. So on top of the 600, 250 would have been around 850. But because it's coming from China, I don't get charged tax and everything. So I kind of take that in. You know, if it was $1,000, then you would have had a $100 tax on it, so it would have been 1,100, and that's basically what I ended up paying on this one, was 1,100. Anyway, so a lot of people probably hesitated on ordering this because they think, oh, Lewin Resources, who's heard of that, you know? But I had experience with a company from this one. This one's a very, very solid toy. At least I should say this now. I've never had any problems with this toy at all. It's just, unfortunately, the last month when I was moving around, because I was rearranging a lot of stuff in my studio, it did break here in the ankle. Is the break on it. This thing is I have to make sure it doesn't have a lot. This is the break right here. It's basically a small screw, and I think that's where they made a mistake, because I thought for sure this was a one-to-one copy of the MP10, but seeing how small this screw is, you can't see it because it's pretty far. I doubt this would have been smaller in the MP10, so I think they should have used a bigger screw or something, because you really don't need that thick of a teeth around here. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still repairable, so I'm not too upset about it. I just haven't had a chance to look into it and everything. And honestly, I think what happened was, because this figure is mostly on the floor, because it's so my place is so packed, that moving something so heavy, shifting things around, the how it balances on its weight and everything, that might have been just basically forced it. But knowing that, I do have to be careful with the Metroplex, because even this, it feels solid and everything, but that's a big mistake on their part, having that because that's the only thing keeping that ankle in. That small, like basically like this much, so maybe like less than a quarter plastic, and the screw was probably maybe, I don't know, 10 millimeters thick, or like, am I saying that right? Maybe 5 or 0.5 millimeter thick. You know, it's very, very thin. Anyway, so I just want to point that out, but I'm still very, very confident when I say that I'm very happy with the construction of this one. This, of course, is a different product, so, you know, but based on my experience, I had no hesitation in ordering something from Lewin Resources. That's it for that. Let's go ahead and do an unboxing of this one really quickly. All right, guys, welcome back, welcome back. I know with that intro, I was supposed to segue into the unboxing first. I'm still doing the unboxing, but basically what I'm doing right now is a general review of the figure while I'm still fresh in my mind, and then afterwards I'll put in the unboxing and everything. So the video will just basically end abruptly at that point. So first off, $1,100 to be shipped and everything, no taxes because it's coming from China. Is it worth it or not? I mean, like, I have no regrets buying this. It's expensive, yes, but I've bought figures before that are expensive. The Batwing from Jazz Inc. 1/6 scale is $30,000. That's with shipping and everything. This is probably the only time I'll ever have the opportunity to buy a big Transformers like this. And it is a Transformer, it's not just a figure. And I really don't have any Transformers that is just a robot that doesn't transform. I really don't like buying stuff like that. So in this review, you will not see me transform this. After the unboxing, I will show off a video of the certain parts when I took it out and everything. But yeah, okay, so the value, the base price of 10 equaling to $1,100. It is an expensive item, but the value is, it's around 12, not just 10, maybe 11. I can't, we'll see at the very end. So here's the thing, I knew that the head is going to be smaller proportionate to the body. I've seen reviews from TM Reviews, Mang Motion, where they've held the hand and everything. Still, opening this out of the box, I had to open it immediately because I couldn't believe how small the box was. I was expecting the box to be this big, and the box ended up being that big. And when I opened it, I was expecting the head to be around this big, and then you have this be like taller like that. So I was expecting this to be twice as big, and yet it's so much more smaller than I expected. So that was kind of disappointing. It does come with lights and everything. This kind of metallic card, which is kind of cool in itself. This is like real metal. Has a magnet in the middle, but I'll use a different magnet just because I know this one works. It has the lights on the eyes. I think if you do it twice, it will pulsate. Has the lights on the chest. Again, this one, to have that come out, I'll do a simple movement on the arm. And notice that the ratchets on this one are very strong enough to hold it, but still I am going to handle it with care as I'm opening it up. I'll show you why later on. I just want to show the lights for now. Each individual fingers do have a light up function, as you can see. I hope that shows. And then the tip of these guns do have a light up function for this one. Basically, it's the same LED light as this, as in the fingers. I'm gonna turn off my lights really quickly so you guys can see in the dark.
Okay.
So that's how the figure looks in the dark.
Okay.
So the size of the head is slightly disappointing because I was expecting it to be a little bit more, even though I knew it wasn't gonna be it was going to be smaller than the body. I also want to show you a clip of a video of me moving this, because I want you to pay attention on how, because these legs are probably 25 pounds each. Probably 25, 25, 10, 10, so that's about 70, probably another 15 here, because this is supposed to be 78 to 80 pounds. I want you to show first the clip of me moving this and how I'm moving it, as to be as careful as possible, so that the legs do not add any more tension to these hip joints over here. And I'll also include later on, I'll include why. I plan on doing a base on this one that has a metal pipe basically supporting this with wheels on the base, so that when I'm moving it around, I'll just be like pushing it. So here's the clip right now. All right, so I want to show you guys how this thing moves, how I move it, and I kind of feel like this is an important step. I want you guys to pay attention to how the legs will move and how I'm going to be very careful. The joint should be good enough, but then you're adding to that it's going to start swinging, and you're putting a lot of pressure when you're not moving it around. So, and then you're putting it down. So all that added weight and pressure is going to be put onto these two containers. So I'm going to try to carefully move it. I'm going to try to lift it up here, because technically those two joints should be able to contain the weight of the two legs. My plan is, as I'm lifting it, I'm slowly going to start directing the legs with my foot over here, so it's not dragging onto the carpet. Remember, this is over 70 pounds of weight. Notice the legs are swinging freely. That is great effort to do this, okay? So I'm putting my leg in between the two legs, and I'm lifting it like, I'm basically moving it like 6 inches at a time, or 1 foot at a time. The reason I'm putting my leg in between is because I don't want these legs to be like swinging in and out and applying a lot more pressure than necessary. My floor is carpeted. What I've noticed is that it tends to fall to the back. So I'm going to build a stand for it. So that's how I'm moving this behemoth. All right, thank you for watching that clip. I hope you did. It's very, very important to know how to move this, because this is 78 to 80 pounds of weight. And as I said in the video, because these are 25 pounds each, resting on how this is connected, by itself, standing still, it should be strong enough for a while. But the more you move it around, flopping, all that stuff, you're basically, you know how it is, you're basically like putting all that pressure into those joints, and then you're plopping it down. So, and the reason why I inserted my legs in between is to prevent these two from moving and flopping like that. So that's what I plan on doing for now, before I do the base. Now, I want to show you, I want to include a clip of the thickness of the plastic on this one, because I was really kind of surprised at how thin it is. But even though the plastic is thin, it really depends on the engineering that they've done in between those thin containers to see if it's strong enough. So let me include that. I think I'll show a clip of something in the back of the legs over here, which is really important. And I'll also include a clip of this part over here, because I did shoot that. And then I'll also show you how bendable the plastic is in terms of just a regular me squeezing it. So that's kind of adding to it. And then so let me show you that clip on the legs over here. So let's see how far it goes in. So that's, oof, really? basically being held by that much thread on the other side. And then let me do this by hand. This might seem like a very strong construction, but just think, look, if I put my hand in there, can you see how thick the plastic is on the inside of this container is? That's literally the only thing that's keeping this in. So if this has any kind of give and if this part breaks, you're kind of screwed, because this will give and then the whole leg would give. So that could have been constructed better, I think, like a thicker plastic, because this whole thing is going to be hidden anyway. So one of the things I did notice is, for example, this one, the movement on this one is not as tight as I guess I would prefer, but at the same time, this thing is heavy and this is solid. It seems like solidly built. So I don't know if I kind of like the fact that there's a wiggle over there, because this is going to be basically holding the connecting piece of the leg into the body. So I don't know how weak that is. So this kind of shows you the kind of plastic that we're dealing with, the thickness and all that stuff. And as you can see, I can actually kind of squeeze it a little bit with my own, and that's not a lot of pressure that I'm handling. This hinge over here is solid. It's very hard for me to move. This is solid. It's very hard for me to move. There's no wiggle whatsoever. This one is a little bit more looser than this one. Not completely loose, but definitely a lot easier to move. I can't really show this. I'm trying to determine the inside of this thing is, because this is basically holding this whole weight in. So as you can see, when I'm moving it like that, the weight of this one is basically resting on that and this one. So that's a point of weakness that I would be very, very careful of when moving this thing. All right, welcome back from that clip. I also want to show you a clip of this part over here in the arms, of how you insert it, and also this part that's basically holding this arm in. Because remember, let me show you. So when I'm moving this by putting a pressure here and here, so that I'm trying to relieve the stress here. But all this and the resistance of the ratchet is going to be being put a lot of pressure in that small socket that I'm showing you afterwards. Okay. But this ratchet is so strong. Let me extend the hand. There's no move on the ratchets itself. It's just the counterbalance and everything. So let me remove this shoulder gun, which technically you can open up like this, and you can insert this groove into the hand over here. Oh, you can't hold it like this because this is hitting here, so you have to move. So you can only hold the gun this way, I think. Yeah. Look, you can hold it. It's just going to lean forward. Look at that. Like no problem on the actual shoulder and the elbow, more towards the wrist, and that's fully extended. So I'm going to remove this shoulder cannon for now. I actually don't intend on displaying him with it. I feel that it's just adding way too much instability. I might change my mind once I do the base, but it also adds to the width, and in the space that I'm in right now, I can't have it. So let me include the clip of how this thing attaches to the actual body, and you'll see how kind of thin this plastic is. Now, I don't know if there are any real die-cast parts here. If there were, one of the things I would be looking for in terms of die cast would be something like this, but this is not die cast, this is just plastic. It almost seems like if there were any kind of metallic parts in this one, it's basically the screws and the screw hole here. So I don't know what's behind this plastic, if it's just, you know, if it, as far as I know, it's this thread for the screws is the only thing that's metal inside here, and this is the connecting port. Basically, you connect the arm here and then you screw it in. Just in here. That's kind of scary. Look at that. Look at how loose that is in there. I wish that was a little bit more tighter. You guys see that? Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure it's gonna tighten up once I put the screw in, but initially, why is that not even tight? I don't like a lot of movement when it comes to like heavy items like this, because you never know, all that movement is just gonna cause friction and everything. It doesn't take a lot. It's like literally like 4 twists, it looks like, for it to secure. Let me see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 twists, and it's right there. Now that it's screwed in, it's a lot more secure, so that's fine. It's just... Alright, thank you for joining me back to the actual review. I also want to point out these two shoulders. There's a difference between these two shoulders, because this one I haven't fully transformed it, but this one I think doesn't have any function, so it just stays there. However, this shoulder pivots to the back, and you can put this arm back here in base mode. What that means is there's a mechanism over here where you attach the shoulder that swings it back. Well, the problem is, because this is stationary, it's locked in, it's tight and everything, but this... So I want to show you, see the gap on this arm, this shoulder over here. I can actually literally put my finger underneath there, inside there. This is the other side where there's just no space in this one. The problem that's causing this is the fact that this actually hinges out to allow the hand to go to the back, and there's no locking mechanism to re-secure it. And I've pushed this over and over, and it just won't close. I'll try and do somewhat transformation to see if I can close this in more, or somehow this is mistransformed. So this is the very first Lewin Resources Optimus Prime, and I think it's like 20 inches, blown up scale of MP10. Here is another MP10 blown up scale. I don't remember what company this is. Basically, they're exact copies of MP10. This is what's the new MP version, or the new Optimus Prime version from Takara. That was $300 with the trailer. Okay, so this is masterpiece scale. Now, some people are thinking of using the studio scale Optimus Prime. You guys can do that if you want. To really emphasize the scale of this one, some people even think, I think this is Magic Square's Optimus Prime. I can't remember. They'll use that. Where would I put this? I'll put them over here. Okay, so but me, I saw this, and in my mind there was only one company that would make sense to put on this one: Dr. Wu's Transformers. I've been collecting this. They're not the best looking robots out there, but they do transform. And look at how much more massive Metroplex becomes when you have Doctor Wu's on it. And I pretty much have all of Doctor Wu. I think they're kind of overpriced. These things should be like 10 bucks, but they're now sitting at around 20, 25, depending. But Doctor Wu, Doctor Wu's Transformers with Metroplex is, I think, perfect. In fact, if this thing was actually windows into the inside of Metroplex as a command center, that, and then he's like sitting here, look, that he's almost perfect in scale. Like he can literally look through those windows. Like he can literally occupy inside this and actually be part of it, functional. And I was thinking that, and then the other thing I started to think when I saw these rail guns, if I twist it over to the side and you put these guys into a sitting position and there was a chair in here, oh my god, look at that. Can you guys see that? That's like perfect. It's perfect. That's it. I think without the thing. So I think I did open it. These are basically the screws that's gonna hold the legs, the thighs, and the arms into the body. And there's the hex bolt thing. Here's the instructions on how to do it and transform it and to put it all together. Two legs. Okay, so this is the right leg of Metroplex, and it's kind of hard for me to try to figure out what I want to talk about this one now, because as I said, this is $1,000 toy, 4 foot or 5 feet high, including the turrets and everything. But yes, there's a lot of detail and everything, but what I want to talk about, obviously, for something this heavy, because it's supposed to be 80 pounds total, is the build quality. That's what I would be interested in. That's what I was interested in when I was looking into it. What I'll say is this: the way it all depends on how it was engineered and constructed, and we can't really tell that. It's not one, like, for example, this piece is not one solid piece. It's basically constructed by kind of like putting together two sides of two sides and then putting it together. So it really depends on what kind of structure they put in this one and the waffling that they put inside to make it strong. The reason why I'm talking about that is, and I'm going to be going back and forth on this. I don't even know how this thing transforms, so that's a big surprise for me that it come off. I haven't even started transforming this.
This is the Bacardi household, 714-530-1250. Leave a message for the time you called. Thank you. Bye.
I haven't even transformed this, so I don't know how this thing goes on. I just wanted to talk about the construction. So one of the things I did notice is, for example, this one. The movement on this one is not as tight as I guess I would prefer, but at the same time, this thing is heavy and this is solid. It seems like solidly built. So I don't know if I kind of like the fact that there's a wiggle over there, because this is going to be basically holding the connecting piece of the leg into the body. So I don't know how weak that is. This is slightly raised, this part right here. I'm assuming this is a point of injection. That's why it's and there's got to be some sort of difference in terms of the thickness of the plastic. I think that this plastic, whatever the mold is, the thickness of it is basically um, I think the thickness of this plastic is basically what this is. See how this plastic is? I think all the plastic is basically about this thick. So I don't know if what you guys think in terms of like how if that's good or bad. And then it's basically the strength is basically supplemented by whatever engineering um, waffling they did. See how this one is. See how the thickness of that plastic is basically the same as that. And then they have this inner kind of support structure that's thinner. And I think that's how it's constructed. So I I mean, it feels strong, and depending on how often they did this to create that support. But remember, this is 80 pounds. 80 pounds. Again, talking about that wobble that's going on over here. Also, I don't know how to show this part too. Like, when I'm holding this one right here to lift it. But this part has no structural purpose, so I would not recommend holding it through here because I don't know how strong the connection is. Like this one, it doesn't move or anything. It's basically there. But again, I'm not sure if you guys can see the thickness of that plastic and everything. So at this point, I want to segue into the instructions that's included in this one. This is basically a one-sheet instruction, as you can see. You can actually use this if you want and frame it, I guess. I don't know why I would want to because I already have the actual robot itself, but it's a nice photo. But the instruction is very, very poor. Not only are the pictures so small, so what I'm trying to do is figure out how this leg moves, right? I'm looking where it's addressed, and the closest one I can figure out is this one, step 20 to 21. So notice here's the feet up, and then all of a sudden the feet is down, and that's the type of construction it is. And then this is referring to this part right here. So that's the kind of instructions you're going to be seeing in this one. So this is completely useless in my book. Thankfully, there were other people ahead of me who's had this. Oh, what's this? Look at this one. It moves out. Look at that. Oh, okay. So this one I just discovered moves out. I don't know what the purpose is for. But again, this is another kind of worrying part of the construction that I would be very, very careful of when moving this part. Let me see if I can go hold the camera. So this piece right here, not too heavy, probably around 5 pounds, but that's all resting on this one hinge. So you can see this is wobbling because that is literally just the only thing holding it up. The danger in that is if you keep stressing this one, there's possibility you might break the plastic here or even here. So yeah, this would be very, very scary. So I would, when you're look at that. See this, that's basically kind of a scary connection. There's a lot of weight and a lot of I guess I'm not sure if it's good that it's wiggling, but the more it wiggles that you don't control it, then the more potential that you're stressing the plastic in that one. And I feel like that allows this one to move back the ankle. So with that out, does it allow the ankle right here to be moved back? Like this, like if I was gonna be transforming this right now, I would like to secure this part and then move this down. But this is, I feel like this is the wrong way to do it. I feel like there should be like a second person doing this so that you're protecting this part. And the design of this one, I kind of, because this is the one where he's like a fortress, a rolling fortress, but there's really, I don't see any design where this is like a tracks or anything. Let me look at some videos who's transformed this, see if they're any more clearer or anything like that. All right, there's a reason why not a lot of videos on this, on how this thing transforms, because it's really kind of complicated. Well, not complicated, but difficult because of its weight and size. So let me just close this up a little bit and kind of restore it to the original one. So this is from Toys Labs, and he was the very first ones to have reviewed this. It seems like the very first thing you wanted to do when you're transforming the leg part is to open this up. This is a tab. So you can see tabs over here. Nice connection over there. And let's see if I can reach to the other side and untab that. Okay. So these, I'm pretty sure these should be good enough. See again, we can see how thick this actual plastic is, and then from there, I think he pulls this out. Oh yeah, this is the one we were talking about earlier, and then you can pull on this part to release this, and this part right here is supposed to tab. You can use that to tab into this here. And this also tells us, okay, so this kind of shows you the kind of plastic that we're dealing with, the thickness and all that stuff. And as you can see, I can actually kind of squeeze it a little bit with my own, and that's not a lot of pressure that I'm handling. And I think this basically just, he didn't really show what happens to this one. So he doesn't really show what happens to this one. He just leaves it kind of like floating like this, and then you're supposed to move this up and then tab it in to this one. But as you can see, because mine is slightly warped, it will have a little bit of difficulty to see, because of the bow that's going on in this one. It's gonna be a little bit tricky for me to actually tab this in. There. I guess I'm lucky that it's bowed, because then it creates a friction on that tab, and really that's the only thing that's kind of holding it in. And then from this point on, he turns it over on the floor. So again, he didn't show specifically what happened to this one, so it seems like it's just floating like that, which is kind of, well, actually, you know what, we'll see. It kind of looks like a set of stairs. So at this point, this is how the leg looks like when you're transforming it into a battle fortress. I'm gonna try to extend the ankle, but it's really going to be difficult being I'm the only one here. So this would be a very, very awkward look. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to straddle this part right here while I'm holding the ankle like that, and this one. One more. Yeah, okay. Now, because of the humongousness of this thing, I don't know if I'll be able to show it. Man, all this detail over here, I would really, really love to paint this. I think so. So basically what we've noticed already, this goes up on a hinge here. At least this hinge doesn't move, so it's not going to be forced or anything like that. And then the hinge over here works as well. And I believe it goes like that, and it's not even gonna be, this table is not gonna be even long enough to sort of, oh, there it is. And I believe this goes, and then this part, when you lift this up like that, put this at the bottom. It's supposed to go to the bottom, and then I think I think this cavity over here is gonna fit into this part. There's no connection or anything, but before I do that, I want to show this part. Look at that. So there's a screw here. There's screw holes here, and I can see threads, but there's no screws on it. I'm gonna have to check the other leg to see if there's supposed to be screws here, which kind of worries me. I mean, there's one here, and then there's two more over here. I don't know if it's necessary to have screws here, but I mean, the screw hole is there. It's designed to have screws, but they didn't put screws in there. Also, see this part, it's kind of like giving. I'm okay with that. I'm never ever gonna see that, but I just want to point that out. Okay, so going back, so no, it doesn't like socket in to this part. It just, when you bring it down like that, then yeah, that basically forms the ramp of the leg. And then as a final piece, you lift this over here. It's hiding another panel over here. There's a kind of like a detail going on in the back. I think that's just the mirror. Oh, this also is a good way of seeing what's kind of inside here. As you can see how I'm like able to bend that plastic. That's not a lot of force on me. That's just basically me doing away with it. But that's the kind of plastic that's in here, so that's kind of scary. And then these two posts will just basically plug into that one and secure a more complete runway. Honestly, I look, I knew it was going to be, from the reviews, I knew it was going to be 70 pounds, 80 pounds. I knew it was going to be heavy. I knew it was going to be hard to transform. And honestly, I bought this for the robot form at 5 feet tall. Now, you're probably thinking yourself, it's like, did I really pay $1,000, 1,100 for a 4 foot robot that I will barely transform? Yes, yes, I did, because I think the draw for me for this one was to own something that's over 5 feet tall, as a robot transformer with the potential to transform it as Metroplex. And that was worth it to me. For me is like, okay, it can be transformed. The potential is there. I kind of wish it had been, I'm not like better constructed. See how the waffling over there? That's basically what's creating the strength in this plastic, is whatever design they have. I'm just gonna try in this waffle. See? I don't know if that's strong enough. I'm not an engineer, and only time will tell if it's strong enough. But yeah, that's I all I know is that I had their Optimus Prime, and I was very happy with how it came out. And honestly, with this one, this is the reason why I'm doing this video, is also to investigate some of the things that they constructed, like for example the hinge here, and that one that's kind of questionable for me. So those were the points where the reason why I looked into them is because I'm going to be very, very careful when it comes to those parts. I have this backwards, it's not plugging in. Oh, so this is a post for a corresponding plug over here, but it's really loose. It's not doing anything. I'm basically trying to plug this part here. This is also not a hard plug. It's basically just sockets in there. So I'm kind of having a hard time on the other side here. I know there's some sort of something is in the way. I think it's just like there's not a lot of, just gotta push up and in. Let's see, there's a gap here. So, let me put the foot back the way it was before. Here's the construction of the foot, by the way. This one I think is solid enough, but remember how hollow that plastic was in this one? And that's basically the same construction as this one. So this one, oh, I didn't know that there's an actual toe pivot or toe joint here. I think one more. Did I close this? I think I did, right? Yeah, I closed that. Okay, I was finally able to completely put it back the way it was. So the issue was I'm able to put this in, but then there's a gap here. Notice at least here it's not as noticeable now, the gap. What I found is you want to align this first so there's no gap here, and then kind of work this in, because these two, it's basically just friction. And you notice that this one, see, it's not even to the red, is not even to the white, and that's the way it's supposed to be. What I don't like is there's a lot of the connections, a lot of mostly friction. Like for example, this part right here, there's no tab to hold this into the main leg unit. There isn't. It's literally just that small tab in the middle. So I kind of wish that there was something in here or here to connect this one to the white, and there just isn't. It's not gonna get a lot of handling, so I don't see it as a problem. But at the same time, for the price that I'm paying for some connect, but again I'm wondering, it's like the more connection it has, the more pegs and all that stuff, it might be more areas of concern, because then you have to make sure everything's tabbed in properly, and then you're handling something so heavy and so awkward. Maybe it's for the best, I don't know. It's just, I know that all I know is that this is kind of feels loose to me, and because it's only held on by that small tab, I'm kind of that's a concerning matter. Yeah, but yeah, I got them together, so that's it for the leg, I think, and we'll move on to the arms. So here's the left arm. The arms are a little bit more easier to handle. You basically attach this to the body, and then you connect it through screws using this one. And the movement is very simple. So there's not, and it doesn't transform. It doesn't have any transformation purposes for the body. It's just basically you can use this one to is it this one or the other side? So you have a bicep twist over here, and I think this is supposed to twist up. And then you have, if you want to do a curl, this is the only transformation or the only articulation over here. I want to show that this is the point of articulation, and not this whole thing is just all sculpted in, as you can see. All right. Be very careful when you're placing your hands, so you don't get pinched by your robot. So most of the articulation is going to come from the hands. The thumb is basically goes up and down. That's all it does. It doesn't have any inward or out. The hands does not have any. Oh, it does have a splaying out feature, so that's good. And articulated the base, the middle, and the end of the hand over here. These are all have the function of LED lighting. This is the groove for the gun, so it can hold the gun. I'm gonna try to see and figure out how to install the batteries. I do have batteries that I bought over a month ago. All right, so let's look at these fingers and where the batteries are. The batteries are basically right here, the compartment for the batteries. See, each one of them has it. I don't know if I'm supposed to lift this whole thing out. I think I do. because how else am I gonna put the batteries in, right? All right, I'm gonna show you guys how to replace or to put one of these batteries in. It's kind of difficult because it's so basically just lift these latches in, lift them up, and then you'll see this one. Now, the hard part is like the fact this is like really tight fit, and that one's really messing up my nails as it is. And there's nothing to hold on to. What I'm doing is like I'm grabbing this little piece and just like wiggling it back and side to side to take it out, because I don't want to use any kind of pair of pliers or nippers to pull this off, because it's a circuit board and I don't want to damage it. Now that was one of the easier ones to remove, and then I gotta put it in. The flat side goes inside, and this basically has to sink halfway in. So again, putting it in is kind of a hassle because it's like really tight. So this one's one of the easier ones. This was really hard. So you gotta make sure that's like that. Otherwise this won't. You listen for the click, and now it's closed. I am missing, on the other hand, this finger's light, so I'm not too worried because I bought this from Shozi, so they've always been kind of good. But this is the chest lighting piece. It's supposed to take a 2032 battery. I don't know why they include a second one of this one. It seems to be the same exact ones, but and I don't know if you need to pull this off, but it just makes it easier. This I can grab onto this side to pull this out. And what's going on with this one? I just put that in like that. There's no cover. It looks like if I press this in, it will lock it in. Yep, okay, that locks it in. So let's test it and see. There you go. This one has a pattern. See, now that's kind of glowing, and it does that. That's kind of cool. Solid. And it doesn't seem to be an off part, but I think I go back and forth TM Reviews and Mang Motion and Toys Labs, but I think it was TM Reviews that mentioned that was it like this? That mentioned that there's no off, you just gotta wait until it times out. Alright, so this is the last box. This is basically Metroplex's head. When I first got this box, I wasn't entirely sure this was what the item contained because it seemed smaller than I expected. So let me open it up, and I've opened it up because I couldn't believe what it is. But so here's the head. It's so much more smaller than I expected. So much more smaller. This is the magnet that will contain to activate the lights. This is really heavy. This is probably the only die cast that you can definitely tell is in about the thing. This is a faceplate spare, but it's just so similar to this one that the difference is being this is a more furrowed bow. As you can see, it's more angrier. This one's neutral, and then the mouth is kind of downturned while this is just closed. Again, the detail kind of disappears because there's no highlights or no shading, but you can see with this kind of shadow, you can see the difference between the two much better. And here's the actual head itself. I've said before that I've watched the reviews on this one, TM reviews, Mang Motion, Toys Labs, so I knew what to expect. I knew the head was smaller proportion to the body, but this is like almost half of what I'm expecting. Half of what I'm expecting, considering how it is with the body, how big it is. So yeah, but there it is. There's a detail and everything. So let's go ahead and put this thing together. And I'm not sure where this does light up. I think I'm supposed to remove this and everything. So no, maybe, yeah, you just pull it off. So that's good. Okay. I'm gonna give him the angry head. So each head does have its own light up feature, so that's good. No, that's not it. Let's test it. There you go. All right, and this just basically plugs in. I mean, there's no big mystery and everything. So this one just pulls out. I just pull it from the bottom. I think that should be good enough. I don't plan on displaying him with the broken head. The only problem I'm seeing right now is like this visor, which I do want to use. Well, maybe I don't want to use that. Yeah, I do want to use that. It's kind of difficult to bring down. There should be like a switch or something to, like, maybe when this thing comes in. I don't want to scratch this. Yeah, there's no way. I have to push this up, which means that's kind of, yeah, that's much better, I think. So, got it. Okay, let me put it into the head. I apologize that the arms part, you weren't able to see it. Unfortunately, I forgot to press record. So we're just gonna have to jump into the chest area. So it's coming in with all these guns. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. Total of 10 rail guns, and these railings for the back. Just, it's not really that heavy, it's just really awkward. All right, so here's the chest. Now, out of the box, supposedly you're supposed to twist this because it's backwards. But before I do, I want to confirm that that they haven't fixed that in the factory yet, because mine could have been fixed already. Oh, I think it is, because I can see the screw hole here, but I'll verify again just to make sure. All right, so it is still backwards. The only way I'll be able to tell is that, see this red part here in the front of the torso or the ab. This pattern is supposed to be in the front, so I gotta twist it open. I gotta close it or twist it. You think that's easy? It's not. I'm actually putting pressure right here by my elbow, and I'm twisting them. It's not as easy as I'm making it look. There, and basically now it's flushed. All right, this I would be careful. Do not handle it here. As you can see, that's kind of flimsy. That's mostly just for show, to make it a little bit more bulkier on the side. I can also see it's a different type of plastic, so I'm not sure if this was just like an added on thought to make him more wider on the abdomen. So again, nice detail and everything, and I would really love to paint this up. So we just push this in here. Now that part is complete. So this pulls out like so. That's good. It's a big cavity in there that I wish could have been used for something else. And like maybe this could have been like a little bit longer. There's a lot of cavity in there. Honestly, this thing could have been pulled out, and then more an extension here could have been done. There's a lot of space in there for a lot of things potentially that could have been added on. This one opens up. Let's see, how does this open up? Maybe I should do that when I've got it all together. So let's just go ahead and put it together, right? Oh, I should show the top. You can see the head just basically just pops in there. See, this design over here kind of reminds me of some sort of like a girder design or something. Here's the back. I maybe paint this up into some sort of exhaust thing. Like, it's got details, but I kind of wish it had more intricate details because it's supposed to be a city. But yeah, let me start. Well, using my handy dandy fork to take off this thing, but I gotta make sure it's the right. I remember which side it is. Alright, so it's got a hole in there and then a peg in there. It's obvious. So you got to remember that the whole weight of this thing rests on the top is going to be resting on this connection. So just lift this up and finagle it in. Basically put in your 2 screws in there. It should just drop in, and then you screw it in, hoping that it's connecting on the other side. Maybe you might need to wiggle it or something. All right, let me work on this. I'll be right back. All right, it wasn't kind of too bad. You just gotta wiggle a little bit to make sure it's all fitting properly. Now I gotta turn it over and I'll be right back. And it almost feels like you're working on Frankenstein with this thing. All right, so the arms, we'll have to do one at a time. The arms are kind of different in that they go down and then you screw in from the bottom. There's only 4 left. And all you're doing is basically just just in here. That's kind of scary. Look at that. Look at how loose that is in there. I wish that was a little bit more tighter. You guys see that? Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure it's gonna tighten up once I put the screw in, but initially, why is that not even tight? I don't like a lot of movement when it comes to like heavy items like this, because you never know, all that movement is just gonna cause friction and everything. It doesn't take a lot. It's like literally like 4 twists, it looks like, for it to secure. Let me see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 twists, and it's right there. Now that it's screwed in, it's a lot more secure, so that's fine. It's just that I'm afraid all of that contact is, well, it's not so bad. I like, if you can see, it's really you can't see it, it's really deep in there. kind of, it goes in deep in there. So let me screw in the other side. So that's it for my review of Lewin Resources Metroplex. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you guys found it enjoyable and interesting. Is it worth it? I absolutely think so. I hope you guys, if you were interested in it, if you had the space, if you had the money, I hope you guys got it before the shipping fiasco we're currently encountering right now, because I think the price for 1100 for something like this is like in the money spot for me anyway. Even with the issues that I saw regarding the stability and the construction of this one, I still think it's worth it. It's just something to me to be really careful for me. I had to have this in my collection. There's just no second thoughts about it. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you guys again in my next review. Bye.